All right. So, welcome to tuning in through the psoas. And today, just to give you a little bit of history on this particular practice, this was um, my practice teach. Sort of, it's been changed a little bit, but it's a message that I kind of lingered on for a really long time, and I used my very first time that I ever taught. So, as released, I hope you enjoy, and I hope this kind of really connects with you. And I also kind of like to prepare people because I think it can be triggering to some people that there is some biblical reference to it. But to me, all things are spiritual, it all belongs, whatever it is. So I hope that's okay with you as well. So we're going to start out in just a really comfortable resting pose. So, just as a suggestion, is to have the feet kind of, or the calves, I guess you could say, more or less, kind of resting on a bolster and a blanket. You can even raise this up to bring the hips even a little bit more. So, if you had some blocks and you were to place them kind of high, you can even use a chair or a sofa as well, getting your legs kind of up. And this will allow that psoas muscle. So the psoas muscle is connected to the top of the thigh bone, wraps around our hip bone, connects back behind the lumbar spine, and it kind of moves more like a tongue. And so this kind of helps it to slide back and soften. But really, any resting pose here is great. Even if you're just in a traditional savasana, that's just fine. Just allow your body a moment to land, a moment to soften your eyes or close them. And then taking some time here to just become aware of breath. Slowly watching your inhales and exhales. And then as you're here, allowing relaxation to flow over you and through you deeper with each breath, start to broaden the inhale and exhale. Begin to allow that inhale to travel deep into the low belly. Let it expand the low belly, expand the ribs, the collarbone, the throat. And as you exhale, feel a softening of the belly, softening of the chest, softening of your shoulder blades. Continue that deep, slow, and deliberate inhale and a cleansing, clearing exhale. So even if it feels good to release your jaw and let that breath out, then imagine that inhale rushing in like a wave. And it's cleansing and it's clearing and it's stirring up as it draws outward, and there is a release and a clearing away. So today we're focusing on emotions and lamenting. So, not just on having or acknowledging emotions, but giving them an outward trajectory, an outward path. So, the root for our word emotion comes from the French word émouvoir, which means to touch or to move, as if saying he was moved to tears or I was touched by what they did. Also, similarly in Latin, ex movere is to push away or to move away. But if we notice, these roots of our word emotion aren't stagnant. There isn't a stillness, but there is action almost behind them. And a lament is just a crying out, a passionate expression of grief or loss or emotion. So just today, maybe allow your mind to become curious, not only about your emotions within, but just maybe is it possible that we're actually designed to share our internal landscape with divine, with universe, with loved ones, with allowing it to move through us. So as you inhale, maybe even notice where in your body there's a shift, a change with this breath. As inhale seeks to clear something out. So maybe just paying attention to how that feels or where you feel that in your body today and at this moment. In biblical ancient wisdom, there's a book of Psalms, and 1/3 of these Psalms are lamentations, is a weeping over the destruction of Jerusalem. There's never a judgment on this crying out, but almost more of an appreciation for the relationship that David has as he is lamenting over this loss and letting himself have this natural release. Again, just noticing you might watch that inhale. Where in your body is it kind of drawn to clear away? Take a couple more of these cleansing, curious breaths. Just allow the breath to move into that space where emotion might even be stuck, or maybe a better way to think of it is it's ready and willing to move. And then as you're ready, begin to make some circling into just the wrists for right now, or even the ankles if it feels good, if they're kind of lifted. Just getting movement, starting that connection. So as we slowly create movement here to fortify that connection of breath and movement and paying attention. So as we move today, just bringing that awareness of your attention to something that might be seeking to move. And then slowly drawing knees to chest. If you'd like, you can even hug those knees, draw the chest up if that feels really good for you, or maybe you'd like to just keep the chest down for now and rock from side to side. And kind of collapsing our little tower, if you've made a tower for your legs, moving that to the side, placing soles of the feet towards the mat. And this time they're going to be about hip distance. Heels are just a little within fingertip reach, so a little bit behind your seat. And we're going to start with some hip tilt. So if you were to imagine that your hips in this pelvic bowl area were actually holding a bowl of water. And as you inhale, you draw that tailbone upwards as if you could tip that bowl of water towards your face. As you exhale, really slowly begin to tilt that pelvis forward as if pouring the water now towards your heels. And then just find that nice little rock back and forth with your own breath. And moving so slow that we're using that whole length of breath to move through this tilt. So the entire inhale, the tailbone is tipping upward, hips are starting to drift up, and maybe even notice the low belly sinking a little bit deeper into the mat. And then as you inhale, the entire length of that inhale as the tailbone tips forward, and you'll notice even the spaciousness in your low back and the mat. Again, just starting to bring that connection of our awareness to how this feels in the body, how the breath is initiating movement in the body. Within the Lamentations, it's almost as if David kind of gives a map, and a lot of them start with asking why. And then come back to a neutral spine, and we're going to start to make almost circles. So now as the pelvic bowl actually had a bowl of water, and it started to tilt so you could pour the water as if on the clock dial at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then let it roll back and down, 4, 5, and 6. Just keep that roll going, and however it feels best to you to use this breath. Some people kind of like right side to left side on their inhale and exhale, or maybe even a full circle, just whatever is most natural to you and how you would like to use your breath. But again, we're just starting to feel deeply into the hips, into the sacral area. Starting to notice maybe even the psoas muscle coming online and offline. You'll feel it contract and then soften. Go one more time around this direction. And then we'll reverse that direction. So now going counterclockwise, 11 and 10, 9. I think even sometimes we wonder if we were to ask why, if we were to question why is this happening, does it seem almost ungrateful? But in scripture, and there's a pause here to ask why, maybe almost to become an observer of what's happening and an observer of the emotion. And bring your hips back to a neutral spine. You can bring a little windshield wiper now, if that feels good. Get a little bit of release. Again, using that inhale to draw the knees up, and the exhale, let them drift to one side. And keeping left sole of the foot down towards the mat, we're going to cross the right leg over, keeping right foot flexed, right knee open. Gently draw that left knee into chest, taking hold of behind the left hamstring or even below the left knee, whatever feels best to you. Take a big deep inhale, expand the breath to the low belly all the way to the crown of the head. And as you exhale, let that breath release some tension maybe around your shoulders, your jaw, shoulder blades. Let there be a softening in this release. If we kind of notice when we're holding on instead of letting an emotion out, there becomes a rigidness to our entire being, our bodies, our expressions, our personalities. And then let that left leg soften back towards the mat. Draw that right knee into chest. Give it a nice little squeeze. And then let that right knee drift towards the outside of the rib cage, lifting up the right foot. So the sole of the foot's coming towards the ceiling. You can take hold of the calf, the ankle, the knife edge of your foot. A little half happy baby, creating some slight tension here as you inhale. Press the right sole of the foot towards the ceiling. The right hand resists. And slowly, as if turning down the dial on the exhale, release that tension. And notice that compression in the hip socket. You can extend the left leg if it feels more comfortable for you to have that extended. Again, find a release in the exhale to soften somewhere where you don't need to have any tension. Getting a little bit of compression here into the hip socket, into the psoas. Then release the foot down, draw that right knee to chest, take the right arm out to the side, gently bring that right knee over to the left, a little twist here as your gaze can float over to the right fingertips. And allow that breath once again to kind of seep through those spaces and just observe, almost as if to ask why or where and how, just to question. And bring that right knee back up into chest. Bring that right sole of the foot down towards the mat. We'll cross the left leg over now, keeping our left knee out, left foot flex. Draw the right knee into the chest, taking hold of behind the hamstring or below that right knee, whatever feels most comfortable. Deep inhales. Let that breath fill up the low belly, expand the ribs and shoulders. Exhale, let the belly soften, chest. Even the muscles around your eyes, let them find a softness. And I think that asking why kind of allows the curiosity and maybe even noticing a lack of emotion. And slowly release, bring right sole of the foot down. We'll draw that left knee into chest. Sometimes we may notice, why am I not angry? Or why am I angry? Why am I not sad here? Or why am I sad? I think that's just as important. Sometimes we might become used to not having emotion. So bring that left foot towards the ceiling. So half happy baby on the left. Knee is going to come to the outside edge of your rib cage, taking hold of the calf, the ankle with the knife edge of the left foot. Take a nice inhale. Press that foot towards the ceiling. Left hand creates that nice little resistance. And then as you exhale, slowly dial down that resistance. Soften. So almost as if the resistance was stirring something up and that exhale was allowing it to mellow out and soften. Maybe when we were younger, we were told, don't be sad, don't be mad. And those are things that we carry through. So kind of questioning if maybe that's what's happening. And typically we should be mad, or typically most are sad here. Why am I not? Take another nice deep inhale. Clearing exhale. Releasing the hold of the foot. You can draw that knee into chest. If that right leg isn't extended, go ahead and extend it. Bring the left arm out and gently draw that right knee Oh, that's the left knee over towards the right. Take your gaze over to the left fingertips. Once again, let that breath find somewhere that maybe you're hovering. Take another big, full inhale all the way to the low belly. Exhale. Nice little release. Slowly come back towards center. Drop both knees into chest. Give yourself a little low back massage. So maybe making some big circles around in one direction with the knees. Feeling the sacrum, even the side of the hips, and then back towards the low back. If this feels good, if you have some kind of pain or tenderness in any of this, maybe ease off of that and just kind of curl up for a moment or even spread out if that feels better. And eventually, rocking from side to side or front to back, we'll all make our way to a seated position. So moving really slow. And getting this bolster, and if you don't have a bolster, you can use a folded up blanket, but placing just a bolster or a rolled up blanket near the top of your mat and slowly coming to your belly. So if you have a particularly hard floor, you might want a blanket for your hip points down on the floor. But we're going to come forward, spending just a little bit of time here in a supported sink. So untucking the toes. And typically when we're on our bellies, I would cue to press toenails into mat, let the kneecaps lift up, soften tailbone. Let your legs relax. If this is pretty intense on the low back, I would suggest pressing tailbone into mat. So we're going to kind of creep that bolster on the low ribs, bring the elbows just on the other side of it, and slightly down with the elbows, that lifts. Take a big, deep inhale. Let that breath drop all the crown of the head and breath go. Let that tension go. The tongue is connected to close to the vagus nerve, so we're getting some clearing, some legal tongue. These lion breath as you can. Yeah, two more. It's a way to release all of that forward stress. Maybe moments of shoulder. Notice that breathe up mine did was breathe out slowly, bring kind of pause here. Forward. In this breath, go ahead. More soften, just notice how your body feels. Our body does hold on to stress. Sometimes that causes physical, emotional, mental disruption. Allowing the movement kind of helps clear with better ease within all of these. Bring the fingers down. Are going to engage. Press the toenails into that. Feel the hands out wider than your elbows are kind of to the ceiling. You're kind of getting ready to soften the tailbone down. Take it down. Make that torso lift up just a little bit. If you're low, enjoying this, just feel soften down. Kind of notice that tension build up, and so then exhale, it's down your back. Inhale, exhale, and soften out over the whole bolster. Let your forehead soften. Using this mind, noticing and turning inward of emotions to how that filtering through whatever has been reading. Just space, giving it attention, awareness. And as you're ready, you bring hands on either side of the bolster, draw your shoulder blades back, elbows in. Think of that core forming up first, then we'll go press up, a little stretch here, that bolster, just your hands and hips back. Nice little counter, soften towards that stretch in the chest. And then forward, coming to the table. It's up to you. It's not even necessary to move this bolster enough you'd like. People find that this kind of bringing the earth up, a nice little change, or you could go to the side. We're going to cat pose. So let's sit upward, belly down. Turn to tuck the tailbone up, draw the navels to the spine, and press them out. And again, feel that breath. And just kind of become aware. And maybe even a soft down first in between each inhale and exhale. Into the elbows, and then up. Last time. And then as you're going to more of neutral spine, again, totally have this cleared. I'm kind of like feels like wrists, bring the earth up a little bit. Crown of the head is forward and upwards. On your next inhale, we're going to go ahead and lift up the left leg. If it feels good, you can inhale, bring the arm up as well by the ear. Exhale, draw that knee into chest, press them out away with the left hand. The elbow can, or the right can come and squeeze. If you are using your elbow, press it against your knee and then come back. Inhale, growing nice and long. Exhale, almost a softening into earth and then press that away. Notice that contraction and then the flooding in of breath. We'll go one more. And slowly bring everything back down to earth. Maybe even moving the chest from side to side, especially if there was any tension that you may have created behind your shoulder blade, kind of letting that release first. And as you're ready, you can come back towards center. So knees are directly underneath hips. Find that draw of the spine. So lifting up through the pelvic floor, crown of the head is forward. On your next inhale, that right leg rises up. If you'd like, you can extend the left arm as well. As you exhale, draw that knee into chest and really press the mat away. Elbow presses into knee if you're using your elbow. Inhale, extend it out. Exhale. Draw that navel in. Think of that compression. Your front body is just pulling in towards the back body. and everything is releasing out. There's almost no room for air. We'll go one more. And then come back to that neutral. Again, find that little wave or maybe even some circling of the hips, especially after we created a lot of resistance and tension, letting it flow out somewhere. Like a dog or a cat, whenever, most mammals, whenever they've experienced kind of something that may have pumped up their adrenaline, you see them shake off, or even when they get up, they stretch, moving through. And then we're going to come back. We can move this out of the way, or you could leave it. It's not a big deal, but untucking the toes, sitting back on our feet. So we're going to kind of do a back and forth moment to start to massage a little bit into that psoas muscle. So just being very mindful here. I actually like to bring my knees a little bit wider sometimes because we're going to be coming backwards, and that can be a lot on the ankles. So I like to bring my feet kind of wider and bring some blocks. Have them beside you, kind of helping with balance. So take a nice inhale, and as you exhale, think of kind of rolling. Your toes are tucked and coming to as much of a squat as feels good to you. So some people may have heels down or maybe just on toes, but we're just going to be kind of rolling back and forth, and then slowly those knees come down and we sit upwards. Think of that tailbone softening, lifting that chest a little bit, press forward of the hips, and you'll notice we're opening up the psoas. And then we can use those blocks, just a little back and forth. So again, you could bring the heels all the way down or just come up on the toes. Just a little rocking back and forth here. Soften the tailbone. You can draw that navel in enough to protect. And the slower you move through this, you'll notice maybe even creating a little bit of that fatiguing too. The faster, you're kind of using a little bit more momentum. And then maybe after time, you also get that balance in, so then you can remove those blocks. We'll see. Drawing up from the pelvic floor to keep that core engaged. And we'll just go one more time here. This is also helping keeping hip flexors, that ability and agility moving here. So next time you bring those knees down, go ahead and take a nice big inhale, reaching arms up. Exhale, come back down. Another little flow, little chaturanga flow. So as you inhale, bring those hips back. As you exhale, you can tuck the tailbone under, come forward, draw those elbows in. Maybe there's a little lowering down. Hips can lower. Little cobra. Exhale, press it up. Inhale, send the hips back. And you don't even have to, so exhale, come forward. Lower all the way down if you don't want to. Just maybe even a little back and forth without that cobra. And that's perfectly fine. It's a nice, or you can lower the hips, engage those shoulder blades down your back, press it up. Either way, we're just kind of giving a little massage one more time. Or you could just lower and come back. And then we'll all take a rest, meeting in child's pose, knees out, toes together, send those hips back. You can use a block here, let your forehead rest on the block, arms can be forward or back. As we think of this lamenting, this kind of crying out, it's not that we lack faith or gratitude, but it's just we're being with this emotion as it's moving through. Whatever doubt, fears, loss, we're allowing our faith vulnerability, trusting that divine or universe, spirit is holding this space with compassion for us. Allow that breath to really lift up, so it's so much so that your low belly goes into your hips and your back body becomes really puffy. And then as you exhale, almost as if your back body was like a blanket, easing you a little bit closer to the mat. And then as you're ready, bringing your hands forward, fanning your fingertips, coming back in to table, just briefly tucking the toes and then sending the hips high, coming into downward facing dog. So maybe moving a little slow since it's the first downward dog. You can keep your knees bent. Fingertips are fanned out, toes are fanned out, shoulders are in more of a neutral position, so they're not up by our ears or not gliding so far down the back that we're flaring out the chest, but just a nice neutral position. And then when that feels good, go ahead and straighten into the knees. Heels can soften towards the mat. They do not need to touch the mat. And just take a little time, maybe a little sway from side to side or bending into each knee. Noticing the breath here. Is it same? Does it feel different in this inverted space? And taking your gaze forward, take a deep bend in your knees, soften even into your elbows. And as you exhale, bring those feet about halfway towards the mat so they're right underneath your hips. Keep those knees bent in a big forward fold. A little sway from side to side. Let that sacrum, low back release. It's almost when we allow emotions to move through this big act of trust with those around us, or just with feeling safe enough to do so. And if you'd like, you can bring a block, having it kind of underneath your face. Hands can come to that block. Take a moment to bring that weight back into the heels, back into the hips. Maybe the toes lift and then you soften them back down. As you're ready, we'll take an inhale, wave that spine long, so as if you could draw breath up from the pelvic floor, and then wave the crown of the head forward. As you exhale, keeping that length, but you can bend the knees, forward fold. This time as you inhale, keep the right hand down, right knee bent, and as you inhale, you sweep that left arm up. As you exhale, press down into the mat, keep this left hand up, and we're going to twist it up. Left hand sweeps down. As you inhale, it sweeps back up, circles back up. As you exhale, bend those knees, hinge forward at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, find that half lift, that wave of the spine. Keeping that length, exhale, forward fold. You can bend the knees, and then left hand down, left knee bends more. This time as you inhale, sweep the right arm up. As you exhale, press down into that left foot to rise up, and that right hand sweeps down. Inhale it up. We'll go through one more time each side. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, find a little half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, that left hand sweeps up. Exhale, press everything you have, lad, to that right heel. Just bring it on up. Inhale, that left hand circles up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep that right arm up. Exhale, press everything down. Inhale, that right hand circles up. Exhale, forward, fold, and just find a little release here. You can bend deeply into those knees, a little sway of the chest from side to side. So similarly, as we trust ourselves to kind of release emotions, it's finding that trust in our bodies, that there's an awareness and an intelligence. And the opposite of trust is control. Take a nice inhale, find that wave of the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Send that weight back into the heels and the hips, keeping all that length that you made in the spine. And now press the feet down, unhinge from your hips, bringing the torso up using your core. Inhale, we can bring arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Allow shoulder blades to glide down your back. Ears to stack over the shoulders. And just taking a moment, setting up some blocks near the front. Roll those shoulder blades down your back. And then as you're ready, we'll bring that left foot, bring it all the way back towards the mat. So making sure that we're on a railroad track. And these can be handy, keeping those towards the front of your mat. What we're going to do is slowly lower. So if you would like something soft, because that left knee is going to soften towards the ground, but we're going to do so very slowly. So hands can come to the top of that right thigh, or maybe once they reach those blocks, but we're just going slow, slow, slow. Notice that front leg engaged. Notice that back psoas maybe kind of lights up. Hands can come down to these blocks. Draw your shoulder blades back. Still lowering down. There's lots of engagement here. And then let that back knee soften. Take an inhale, find some length here through the front of the head. If you'd like, you can bring your hands all the way up, or they can stay down on blocks. That's perfectly fine. But find a softening in the tailbone. So think of pubic bone to belly button. If your arms are extended, you might enjoy taking that left wrist and the right hand and just a little reach over, but be really mindful of low back. Move slow here. Feel that stretch in the front of the hip flexor. And as we exhale, bringing both hands on either side of the right leg, send the hips back, draw that right hip back, find that wave of the spine up from the pelvic floor, and then let that heart melt. But what if we were able to kind of let go of some control and let our bodies speak? If we just gave them space for that somatic intelligence. Inhale, coming forward. Let those shoulder blades glide down the back. And then we're going to untuck just as slow as we came down, coming back up. So press into the ball of the back foot, heel of the front foot to lift up. Back knee can be bent. Woo. Walk that back foot in, just slightly lower that heel. So now it's warrior one. If your hips aren't perfectly square, that's perfectly fine. It's better to have this knee in the same alignment with the hip, and then we'll bring our torso. So hips can be open, torso can be here. Still press the mat forward with the heel. If it feels okay to you to clasp the hands behind your back, opening up the chest. Nice big inhale as you exhale. So pressing that front heel forward, really lighting up the legs, slowly lowering torso down. Now we're starting to kind of load a little bit more into that right psoas. Exhale, coming back up. And bringing that left foot to meet the right, shaking it out. You can lift up the legs, even manually, kind of shaking hips. Even this piriformis top here, little muscle inside. Sometimes it likes to overengage. Roll your shoulders down your back. Take a moment. Maybe notice the difference. Notice your breath. Notice where there's a stirring. And then as you're ready, we'll bring that right foot down the length of the mat. So ball of the right foot, that back knee can be bent, making sure that the feet are more on train tracks than they are a tightrope. Once again, blocks can be near the front, and we're just going to really slowly, so think of that pelvic floor lifting in and up from the core to help keep the torso engaged. Maybe even noticing where you feel this the most. Maybe it was a little bit higher. Maybe you just are trying to rush through a stage. You can bring hands down the block and just really slowly let that knee come down. Front heel is really pressing down. And then that knee lowers. Hands can stay down on blocks. They can come to your shins or come all the way up wherever you are. Find that core engagement. So pubic bone to belly button to soften into the low back. Arms can be up. Again, if you like, it might feel good to take hold of that right wrist with the left hand and a little gentle draw over to the left. Again, moving slow and mindful for that low back. So really focusing in on softening pubic bone to belly button. Maybe there's even a little slight engagement heel to knee to buoy you up and bring some strength to that low back. Exhale, bring both hands on either side, the left foot. Slowly send your hips back. As you inhale, find some length. Crown of the head reaches up. Exhale, keep drawing that left hip back. Maybe the heart sinks down a little more. Maybe moving more with cues that our body gives us. Noticing, are we clenching up shoulders? Have we stopped breathing deeply? Bringing that right foot forward. Getting ready to come back up. So press everything you have into the ball of that back foot. Heel of that left foot is kind of inching forward and pressing down. And we begin that lift up. And let yourself kind of experience that whole ride up. Then bring that back heel down. Again, feel free to keep that hip open. I don't like to square my hips. It hurts in my body, my knees. So I keep this opening here so the hip and knee are a little bit more in alignment, and then just move the ribs forward. As you're ready, take an inhale. That front heel is pressing forward, almost as if you can extend your mat long. And as you exhale, if it feels good to you, you can hover that chest forward, loading more into that left psoas, starting to fatigue there. Nice big inhale. Cleansing exhale. We'll come back up. This time pivoting toward the long edge of your mat. Taking a moment to kind of lift up those feet, bring them in the same direction as the toes, but legs are pretty wide. We're going to come into goddess here. So let those hips go back and find this really strong core engagement, and then draw up from the pelvic floor. Feel the shoulder blades soften down your back, and now we're nice and long, but there's this space in the hips. Lower down. You can place left hand below, right on top, thumbs touching if that feels good. Shoulder blades glide down your back. Just kind of taking a moment, letting this sink in, this kind of little crackle, this little fire, letting your awareness come to what needs to be moved through. Then as you're ready, take a nice big inhale. Reach those arms out high. You can straighten into the legs. As you exhale, find a little wave. Palms can be together. Bend side to side. like you could snake down. Press into the heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, find a softening. Really let that air out. One more time, inhale it up. Maybe a little pause in that crackly woo. And then exhale. Last time, inhale it up. Exhale. This time, bringing the feet more hip width apart. Another one of my favorite kind of releasing breaths, lamenting breaths. So as if you could pick up your feet, shake them out, let them fall. Toes are going to be maybe parallel, maybe not, but in the same direction as your knees. Let the toes fall wherever they fall, but hip distance apart. As you inhale, bring the seat back, weight back in the heels, weight back in the hips. Inhale. As you exhale, we're going to throw something to the side. Just toss it out. Inhale, back up to that chair, seat back. Exhale to the other side. And really exhale it out. Back and forth here. You can let that press those heels down. We're loading a little bit more. So if you're not into that, you can raise up and forget that chair. If you've had enough in the psoas, just stay upright. That's completely fine. Listening to the cue of your body. One more time each side. Inhale. This time come all the way up. Come to the top of your mat. As you exhale, bend those knees forward, fold. Take a nice big inhale to lengthen through the crown of the head. As you exhale, we're going to slowly lower the hips down. Coming all the way down. I don't know if we need this yet. Coming all the way down the length of the mat, keeping soles of the feet towards the mat. Bring those arms out just for a moment. Let everything land. Feel maybe all of that rush of the exhale, moving things through. Lamenting is being aware and giving space to that awareness. Holding space to allow emotions to move and not get stale or stuck, but doing so that we can learn from them. And then bring the heels a little bit closer, that low soft bones, that little bit of space between low back and mat kind of go away. As you're ready, take an inhale, press those heels into the mat, feel those hips lift up, a nice little bridge. Exhale, slowly lower it down. Inhale, press those feet, those heels down. Inhale, find a little lift. And exhale, lower. And feel free here. You can stay with this kind of breathing and lifting. You can even inhale as you lift the hips. The inhale raises the arms overhead. Or if you just like to kind of gently draw the shoulder blades underneath and stay up here for a moment, feel free. Whichever feels best. Sometimes that movement of the inhale and the exhale feels better, and sometimes it feels nice just to kind of hold. And if you're holding, tops of the shoulders soften down, chin has a lot of space from the chest, but not arching the neck back so much. Wherever you're at, we'll just slowly find that release, that exhale to lower down. Bring those feet a little bit wider and let the knees drift in towards each other, and just a softening here. So we'll begin our psoas release. And as we've kind of gone through and been really listening in today to the cues your body is giving you, maybe you will feel like you need to tremor, and maybe you feel like you would just rather sit in silence and in peace, or curl up into a little ball, have your legs up the wall, whatever it is for you today. But I will guide you through the neurogenic tremor if that seems like your body has something to kind of release. So if you are wanting to do that neurogenic tremor, bring your soles of the feet together, but bring them away from your seat so you're creating like a big diamond shape with your legs. And taking a moment here to press the feet together, press them into the mat, and we'll let our hips lift up, kind of drift upward, shoulder blades sinking back down into the mat. And you might even notice a little shaking here, or the legs kind of swaying from side to side. You might even notice your low belly is trembling. Okay? Come back to the breath, soften the face, soften the shoulder. Just hold it here for another breath. And then as you're ready, we'll slowly exhale and just soften everywhere. Let the legs go. Let the knees fall open. Let the hips soften, shoulder blades face. So this is developed by David Berceli, and we have kind of fatigued the psoas so that we can elicit a neurogenic tremor within our psoas muscle. This allows the body to almost shake or release all of that stored up stress, trauma, tension. So soles of the feet are together right now, pressing the soles of the feet into the mat, but hips are going to stay down this time, and just the knees are going to lift towards each other, maybe about an inch. And just soften here, pay attention, but also not controlling. So we are letting our body do this release all on its own. So you may notice your legs flapping, you may notice quivering, maybe especially in the inner thighs near the hip flexor. Maybe it's traveling all the way up your spine, and just allow wherever this movement moves through, just see if you can't soften into it with breath and let it move. Trusting that our body knows how to process and let go. Letting go. Keep those inhales, exhales smooth, and soften the tops of your shoulders, blades. And you might want to raise just another inch closer. See what happens here. You can always come with this for the legs and come back in. Wrong way to experience. If you find lots of emotions becoming overwhelming, focus back on your breath. Let your breath anchor you. And know that you are in complete control of this tremor as well. You can stop at any time. And now bring the knees maybe just another inch closer together. Arms can be anywhere that feels comfortable. You may even want to play with cactusing the arms, or bringing them overhead, or even holding your thumb underneath into that first mudra. So the 4 fingers around your thumb, It's a really comforting mudra. You can play with rocking from each one hip to another, side to side. You can even play with bringing your feet apart or having a little bit more of the soles of your feet towards the mat. It's, again, no wrong way to do this. And you might notice the tremors coming in waves where they might be really intense for a little bit and then they soften and then come back in intensity. Feel free to lift the knees another inch and just explore what's in that space. If you find yourself trying to detach from any emotions or this just space here in the room, then maybe consider opening your eyes and taking a look at the walls, noticing the color. Maybe you have some pictures on the wall or you notice the way the floor feels against your skin. Bring yourself back to this space, back to your body. Back to your breath. You may even notice that having your full soles of your feet to the mat and knees up as if in an act kind of supported rest pose, that you might do a lot of tremor. A lot of students do. And again, if you're completely not feeling like the tremor today, please listen to that and find a rest, a pose feels especially comfortable, and whatever your body is craving, let's use this space to give it that. A deep listening. Just allow these feelings yourself to get curious. Maybe that rocking from side to side or giving yourself a little pause and windshield wiper of the knees, but feel free to come back to the tremor. And if you don't know where to start, it's always nice to come back to that beginning pose, the kind of pose, and just start from the bottom and slowly, slowly bring the knees back up. If ever you're in doubt of where to go, just start back to that beginning. And then notice there's No limit to expression of emotion here. Many people cry, many people laugh. There's all kinds of sounds, and all are okay. And you can continue in your tremor as long as it feels good to you. And to if your body is finished here. And so you do give yourself, if you would like to continue, that's completely fine. But you do give yourself space for rest. So whether you continue to tremor through this whole yoga nidra is entirely up to you. That may be a little long, but and when you are ready, we are going to start this yoga nidra. So allowing yourself to get as comfortable as you possibly can. And yoga nidra is just a practice of yogic sleep that allows your consciousness to rest, that's in a stage between wakefulness and sleep. So making sure that you have made yourself really comfortable. You can place a pillow or a blanket under your neck or behind your knees. You can have your feet back up on that bolster tower that we had made, or maybe even legs up the wall if you have that handy. And make sure that you keep yourself warm. And the only thing that you need to do here is just listen to the sound of my voice. Allow your eyes to close gently. Make any last little bit of movements to find your most comfortable position here. And just trying to remain awake and aware during this practice by listening to the sound of my voice. You'll be asked to bring your awareness to different sensations and emotions and images. And try not to concentrate too hard on any one of these things, as it could hinder you from fully relaxing. And if your mind starts to wander or become overactive with outside thoughts, that's okay. Just simply remind yourself to come back to the sound of my voice. We'll begin by listening to your naturally occurring breath. Watching the inhale flow through your nostrils and softly drifting throughout your entire body. Then notice your exhale and the warmth of it as it leaves your body and filters out and beyond. Allow yourself to follow the breath outward and bring your awareness to the sounds around you. Let yourself drift to the sounds that are maybe past the building you're in. Resting your attention briefly on each sound. And now let yourself be drawn to the sounds that are closer, maybe just outside of the room that you're in. And now bring your perception to the sounds closest to you, letting yourself drift to each sound, not committing to any one. And now allow yourself to hear your own sounds, your breath, your heartbeat. And without opening your eyes, imagine the entire space that you're in, the four walls surrounding you, the ceiling, your body laying on the floor. And feel the connection to each point of your body on the floor. As you notice your body drifting deeper into relaxation, your body sinking like a weight to your floor as it's easy and relaxed. As you feel your body connecting and sinking deeper into relaxation, say to yourself, I'm awake and aware and practicing yoga nidra. I am awake and aware. I am practicing yoga nidra. And see yourself connecting deeply to your inner landscape and trusting that whenever perceptions arise are meaningful and they're guiding you to an awareness within. Bring yourself to your center, your heart space, the place of longing within you. And what is it that your heart is longing for? Don't spend too much time questioning the thought, just allow the answer to emerge without a lot of questions. And this is your sankalpa, or your resolve. This is your heart's deepest longing. And this state is your sankalpa that you'll now put into a positive short statement in the present tense, as this is what you carry with you into your yoga nidra as a seed that can be planted while your mind and your heart are open, bringing about healing and transformation. So repeat your sankalpa as this short positive statement silently to yourself 3 times. And now we'll begin the part of our journey of sensory awareness throughout our body, bringing your awareness and sensation to each part as I mention it. There's no need to move each part, but just allow whatever sensation is there to arise as we move from one to the other. So the practice will begin on the right side. Your right hand, right thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, right shoulder, armpit, right waist, right hip, thigh, knee, calf, ankle, heel, sole of the foot, top of the foot, your right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Moving to the left side of your body, your left thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, left shoulder, armpit, left waist, hip, thigh, knee, calf, ankle, heel, sole of the foot, top of the foot, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Now bring your awareness to the back of your body, your right heel, left heel, right calf, left calf, right back of the thigh, left back of your thigh, right buttock, left buttock, lower back, middle back, upper back, entire spine, right shoulder blade, left shoulder blade, back of the neck, back of the head, top of the head, forehead, right temple, left temple, right ear, left ear, right eyebrow, left eyebrow, middle of the eyebrows, right eye, left eye, right nostril, left nostril, right cheek, left cheek, upper lip, lower lip, both lips together, chin, jaw, throat, right collarbone, left collarbone, right side of the chest, left side of the chest, upper abdomen, navel, lower belly, right groin, left groin, the pelvic floor, the whole right leg, the whole left leg, whole right arm, whole left arm, the whole face, the whole head, whole torso, whole body. Notice your entire body and feel into this space of your entire body. And turn your attention now to your breath. Notice your natural breath moving through both nostrils, watching each inhale as if it was entering from a distance, drawing in, and then following the breath back out again through the exhale. Bringing your attention now to the temperature of your breath, watching the inhale converging at the point of the center space between your eyebrows. Noticing this breath, the pace, the temperature. And now bring yourself into a space of opening and awareness, your sensory landscape that allows emotions and feelings to arise while allowing the body and mind to just be. We'll be pairing opposites as a means to transcend, a feeling that moves beyond present awareness and allows all opposites to exist simultaneously. So begin to feel your body on the floor and awaken a feeling of heaviness from deep within. Allow your limbs and your head to feel heavy and weighty, as if drifting closer and closer to your floor. Your entire body becoming heavy. Hands and feet are heavy. And now imagine the entire body becoming light, so light as if it could float above your floor. Your head feels light. Your torso and limbs are weightless. Your entire body feels light and weightless, so light that you begin to float a little bit higher. And then allow yourself to bring up again the awareness of your body feeling heavy. Your entire body weighted and heavy upon the earth. Now, again, imagine this weightless feeling. Your entire body light and floating. Going back to the feeling of heavy. And now again to the feeling of light. Allow yourself to go back and forth between these feelings. And can you begin to go beyond these two feelings as if to feel them both at the same time, both heavy and light? And just allow your mind to quiet and giving space to just feeling. Can you feel a sense of tranquility when you let go of these opposites and allow them to drift into nothing? Noticing that you are awake and aware and practicing yoga nidra, I'll begin to suggest a number of images and just allow these images to float up and through you, envisioning each as whatever naturally occurs. Maybe it's images or emotions or memories. Just let them move through you with ease, allowing yourself to move from image to image. A waterfall, freshly cut grass, kids playing, waves crashing up on the beach, a snow-capped mountain, birds flying, a bee on a flower, a small stream, the desert after the rain, a sunset, a deer drinking water, the smell of an orange peel, a full moon, lightning at night, a single red rose, a feather, a waterfall, a burning candle, breathing deeply, tall pine trees, your body laying and resting, my voice, and I'll now guide you on a journey as you visualize the scene in your mind's eye as if you were there. You're now in a field with long green grass that gently sways around you in the breeze, and the sun is shining and the air is cool and crisp around you. You can hear a stream in the distance and you're drawn to walk to it. You find a path leading you through these trees, and you sense that this is the path to the stream. The path is easy and smooth, and you begin to enjoy the feel of cool earth on your feet. Within the shadows of the trees, you find yourself at the edge of the stream, and you notice a deer very close to you with their mouth to the water. The deer is drinking softly and easily. The deer lifts its head and notices you, but yet it's not afraid. You sit at the edge and watch as the deer continues to drink. The cool current drifts over smooth rocks softly and gracefully. The deer steps away from the edge of the stream, and you know you are meant to follow where it leads. As you begin to walk further into the trees along the stream, you can now hear a great sound of water rushing. You realize you're moving closer to a very large waterfall. The sound of the fall becomes louder, and you could feel it through the earth, into your chest, along the bones of your entire body. As you move even closer to see the waterfall, you become aware that this path you are leads you behind the falls and continues to the other side. You walk easily behind the falling water with a sense of awe and peace. The space behind the falling water feels sacred. It's peaceful amongst all the noise. You pause beneath the falls, feeling the wind of the falling water, and you place both your hands over your hearts and feel this great rush and roar of the falls within your chest. As you continue to walk through the falls beyond to the other side, as you move with each step, you feel a cleansing, a lightness, a joy emanating within and all around you. You rest on a large rock and allow this feeling to move through you. You connect this motion of joy within to this name, whatever it is that arises. Maybe it's spirit, maybe it's a person, a color, but that this presence has been with you as long as you can remember. You feel as if this lightness is now emanating through you and beyond you, like a great and brilliant light piercing through a dark room. The waterfall suddenly quiets, and even though the water is still falling, you hear a voice that says, "I hear you." Deep within the roars of the waterfalls, I hear you. Seated on the edge of the rock, you remember your sankalpa, your deep longing. You repeat it once again to yourself here in this space 3 times. And you know that this longing and your resolve is true and that it is heard. And you feel this with all of your being and all of your awareness. You sense now that it's time to leave this place, but yet it's not with a sadness that you get up off the rock and begin to follow your path, but with a greater feeling of lightness and peace. You're joined with the deer again, and this time you feel more aware of a connection between you and the deer, a connection between the stream, your entire surroundings. And you allow this widening gratitude to well up within and broaden beyond as you slowly enter back to the room that you're in. Slowly noticing once again your easy and natural breath, allowing your breath to draw you into the space of your body that's laying here on the mat. Allowing breath to draw your attention to the room and the sounds within the room. Allow yourself to feel the air on your skin and the clothes touching you. Allow yourself to notice the sensation of your head resting on the floor, your hands and your feet. And as you settle into this room, just taking a moment to let the feeling wash over and through you. And then as you become ready, you can make smaller movements into your fingers, into your toes. Maybe even bringing soles of the feet towards the mat width apart, and just gentle windshield wipering of the knees from side to side, allowing that sacral twist to be nice and gentle. Or maybe if it feels good to lengthen the entire body, bringing arms overhead, you can do so. As you exhale, really paying attention to psoas, you can draw the knees into chest and really compress. Sometimes that feels good after tremor, or maybe there's still space needed, and that's okay too. Just keeping knees away from chest for a little bit. And then allow yourself to gently roll over to one side and take a moment to pause there, letting your cheek rest on your bicep. And just really focusing in once again on what you're feeling. Maybe something has moved through. Maybe you do feel lighter. And if you don't, that's okay too. But just paying attention for today to what's there, being thankful for that space and what is there. And then as you're ready, you can really, really slowly press yourself up to an easy seated position, moving as slow as you possibly can. We spend a lot of time in yoga nidra, And even if you don't bring yourself up all the way right now, that's totally fine. But just coming face. If you are seated, elongate through the crown of the head, feel sits bones root down. Take a nice another inhale, reach arms overhead. Exhale, maybe bringing those hands together. The coming together of all opposites heals all opposites. Just letting your head just bow gently into the heart. Letting the heart kind of lead, especially through these moving through of emotions. And I leave you, I feel like I always say it's my favorite quote, but this really is. Ever since I was gifted a Khalil Gibran book, this is one of my favorites. And it says, "There must be something strangely sacred in salt. It is in our tears and in the sea." I'm really thankful for you being here today. I'm thankful for you for giving yourself the space and the time to be with your emotions, to let them go, to just have space on your mat, to explore whatever's happening for you today. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon. All right. And thank you so